Good morning, welcome back to my channel everyone. We're working on our prompt, which is inspired by an antique image. So my red one I completed, which you've all seen on Facebook, and pretty much the video that I put out last Saturday for a bit of a closer look. Little beads up on the holly and some seed stitch in that top corner. Then the hexagons exposing the papers underneath, which are all very much vintage, antique, and then some more beading down the bottom here of this piece. A little bit of lace, but not a lot this time. And then because this check fabric reminds me of gingham and the days when we used to do cross stitch at school, simple projects like that using gingham, I thought I'd definitely have to cross stitch all of those pieces. What else did I do? I ended up putting a bit of seed stitch through the background behind Santa. The whole thing was quite puffy, just with air. And then I thought, oh, I better pull it down a little bit because it sort of felt like a very big blob in the middle. So I end up using seed stitch just around Santa himself, so that sort of pinned it down even more. And the puffiness then is just around Santa. So it's given a lovely 3D effect. Fudge has just come into the room, so he's going to be jumping up here any minute or complaining. That's his style. Let me just move my coffee out of the way, because that would break my heart if a coffee tipped over everything. Oh, could you imagine? No. Anyway, move along. Now, in that video, I also wanted to make a start on my cover, which I had kept very neutral because I knew I'd want to do something on here, where the back I covered in actual red fabric. So last video you saw me put this in the middle, and then I had red here, this fabric, and then some laces starting to frame the piece. So it's sort of the same, but I did adjust it. I ended up moving this word panel off center a little bit and up. I took that red strip away and only had the one, and then moved this beautiful lace up to the top, and then brought in those pieces like I'd planned. I tucked another lace in behind this side, so you can see that's actually two laces there. I then, instead of having that white lace, I was planning to run it down the side of the book. I tucked it in here, and then I went hunting for some more lace, and that's where this beigey one come in down this side, and then this dyed lace, which appears through the whole journal. So it was quite a good space to put lots of bits and pieces that are sort of scattered through the journal as well. Then I felt like it needed something because I was getting ready to embroider the red fabric like I do when that fabric appears. I tend to seed stitch it, bead it, and do something. But this time I decided to go back to that All Faithful, All Giving table runner, which has the poinsettias on it, and cut out the one little piece and then a bit of a sprig coming off. There is one leaf that was in the way up here. He was sitting down here, so I snipped him off and reinserted him up here just to give the piece, you know, more of a flow. And because there were gold, little highlights of gold in the berries and in the center, and I didn't want that gold, I ended up putting some beads in the center of the flower to hide that gold thread that's in behind there. You can see the shimmery gold, and that berry there was gold, so I stitched over it with some embroidery cotton to hide it, and so were those two. So they were gold. Now that got rid of all of that gold, and I added a word here as well. I just felt like it needed a little extra something down the bottom, and it sort of made sense. I was looking for a label, and really how that came to be is I wanted a feature here, and I was hunting high and low for an image, but just everything was too big. And then I found some labels on fabric and they weren't quite right, and then I thought, no, I'm going to go back to my poinsettia table runner, and this Christmas word popped up in amongst my stuff, so I thought that worked in beautifully with the black, dragging that black down. And I'm sort of pleased I went with this poinsettia because this burgundy red didn't look right with this fresh red. It sort of looked completely different, and it looked like there were two different colours. But as soon as I added this element here, it sort of, which is a third red, but a shiny red, it just pulled it all together. So I was really pleased. I was thinking I needed to embroider this or paint it or do something, and I sort of didn't want to. I sort of felt like I might make a mess of it and then I'd have nothing. So by adding that third red, it just seemed to sort of pull it all together. So that's my cover sorted. We will be able to bind this soon. And I've got my little gaps ready to slide in the tabs. They will go in to make this all come together. See in there, I've glued this down, but there's room for these tabs to grab that cover. So it is coming together rather quickly, to be honest. I think I worked out we've only got 4 prompts left. Those are the pieces for my tabs. And some of these I have stitched together into, into actual pages already. So there's 2 signatures, we'll call them a signature, 2 signatures ready to go. So Santa, so that's my excess, and that Santa will be the start of the next signature. So I could probably this week work out what I'm doing with the doilies. This one I think is going to be too big. I'm not sure what I'll do with him. And I've got a couple others that are from the family too, so I'll have to get in amongst the doilies and work out which ones I'm going to use. And then there'll be a piece here, so that'll be the next prompt. Okay, let's put the red one away for now. I'm so pleased I got the cover sorted now. I really feel like we're moving along in the project. Okay, let's put that somewhere safe. Now, the blue one. The blue one has been, oops, those pieces belong to the red book. The blue one's actually been quite a challenge because I cannot find for the life of me an image similar to the Santa one. Just cannot. I've looked and looked and looked and looked. So I'm definitely going to use this bauble doily. It's from an op shop. It's very stained. You can see where something has sat there. There's stains on one of those baubles. But there's at least 2 that are really good. So a bit of stitching's come away on that one by the looks of it. She's really lived a life, this one. I think this is our bauble. So I'm going to cut it out. But I'm just so inspired by a Christmas image. This is a Christmas image. I would have loved to have found an antique looking Santa like the red guy, but oh, it just had nothing. I'm just looking at this, where to cut in, because this little edge is quite pretty. I think I'll go with a rough cut. I do like this gold little garland. So I have picked out a background fabric. Now I had to go to my stash and find something because the strips that I've been using don't give me a great big piece for backgrounds, but that's okay. And I didn't want to piece them together this time. I sort of wanted a bit of a simple background, but it doesn't mean it won't get covered up and become something else. It always seems to. So there's my bauble. Now, I'm going to fussy cut this out a little bit more. And then I think I'm just going to start throwing pieces down will need to do is this bauble probably will need to sit on something fairly neutral and similar in tone so that the edges of this piece sort of disappear. Of course, when you look closely, you'll see that it's a patched in piece. But no, there's no reason why you can't have it a feature as well. But we'll see. You just never know where this work is going to take you. You can have a rough idea or an element. And then when you start picking things up and placing them, I hope I brought my pins in. Yes, I did. That's when your piece really comes alive. There are a few other glittery bits and pieces on that panel that may be of use. Like, I still think I could do something with that. I'm just gonna cut this. I'd love the bauble to look like it's hanging from something. Oh, it is pouring rain here. So I'm filming this on Sunday, the day after you've watched the last video. So you're going to see this video next Saturday. So what's happened in Queensland is this huge weather system has come in that has been pouring rain onto pretty much Bundaberg through to Hervey Bay. That was the day before and Friday. And now it's our turn. It has shifted and is sliding down the south coast of Queensland. So we had quite a nice day yesterday, but it was just cloudy all day and the humidity was starting to build, and then all the weather warnings started coming out from the council departments saying, you know, stay out of the water. It is a coming. So overnight, it has set in big time. So I haven't yet turned on the news. I dread turning on the news. I just know there'll be flash flooding everywhere, and the swift water rescue folks will be out risking their lives, rescuing people. Oh, I tell you. So I'm just going to cut these little fellas out as well. These might be handy little elements, sort of just to tie it all together. I want to make this very, what's the word? Cute, glitzy, elegant. Yeah, we'll see how it comes together. Okay. Now that could be cut some more. We'll see how we go. And that could be cut some more in there. Okay, let's have a little play with this garland. So, like I said, I'd love to make that garland look like it's holding everything in the air. I wonder if I do a second one. I think I will. I think we can give the illusion that it is holding that bauble up. Let's rough cut this out on. I can't believe there's only 4 more prompts. I think that's right. I had to tear some more calico up for this piece. I didn't have enough to sort of get us through, and then I thought, oh, I might as well keep tearing because, you know, it's done and ready. And I think I got 1 short. I think I'll be 1 short. And then I did a rough count and I'm thinking, wow, there's only four more prompts. How quickly. So I hope the girls have got something exciting for us next year. Be a shame to stop the momentum. Even if we just went back to general prompts just to challenge us. Can't see why not, girls. Let's just do it. Okay, I like that. So those can be scalloped across there. My bauble could hang either in the middle or off center. It doesn't have to hang there, but it sort of feels like it should, doesn't it? Okay, let's cut this little guy out. Now, what should we do as more feature in the background? I found when I was looking for the fabric for the background, I found two. One has got a real silvery, glittery feel about it. So I kept it on my table because I thought, oh, that'd be nice. And it's a little bit neutral. I sort of felt like all of the originals, so we've got those two now, all of the original colours were very competing. Very competing. That's shocking English. That's it there. And see how it's got a little glitter in it? So I thought maybe of taking a piece off of this. So let's have a little look. I think I got this from Spotlight last year when they brought all their Christmas fabrics out. And it's like a champagne-y, that's not even a word. My English today is just not proper. So I thought that sort of suited. And then I grabbed all of these out of my red box, thinking that they could be used as well. So what else can we do? I've got this little doily, which I thought could come in somewhere. And then I grabbed this bag of lace. Maybe there was something in there that could And the other thing I've got to consider is I could do some hexagons. So I picked out some papers that suited as well. So that's where I'm at. I really don't know what I want to do, to be honest. I feel like this is framed and blobbed in the middle and I've got nowhere to go from it. So whenever you feel like that, it pays to just mess it up a little and forget about what you were doing, because it's just not working. So I can always join the bauble in there with some beads, or I could cut some of those off, straighten them a little so it would look like the bauble is being hung by that. I think I like that. Now, I wonder on this side, do I do a feature? Just bear with me. I'm sort of fiddling. I don't know what I want to do, but something will come together. So I could do a panel there. I think I need it to be a bit smaller so it's sitting in within the boundaries of this cream fabric. As a bit of a feature. The bauble can sneak into that zone. That could probably still come across the top, but I'm not totally sold on it. Still got those. Now, I wonder if we do a hexagon thing. So now I've got two zones to sort of decorate. So I'm thinking I can bring this in now onto something. What am I trying to say? I need a sip of coffee. My head is spinning. So what I've gone and done is pretty much broken my area into two areas, which A, is more fun because now I've got more things I can decorate. But it allows me to sort of control my areas a little bit. They're not as big and vast. And the areas are gonna, oh my English. The areas are going to drift into each other a little bit, if that makes sense. These little pieces at the top may or may not stay, but I think they will. Okay, so I'm liking that. I like that as a background. We can always add more lace and things like that. Like you can always underlay something like that on the corner just to make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah, don't mind that. But we'll see. Yeah, I don't mind that. Now, what I want to do is once again make some hexagons for our piece. So a question would be, do I stick with the 1 inch or do I drop down a size? Because Santa had this one. I think I'm going to drop down a size. Let's be brave and create some hard work by stitching something that is an itty bitty thing. Okay. Thank you too for all your kind comments too. I'm just blown away by you guys. You're just the nicest group to hang with. It's really, really good. I'm connected to quite a few Facebook groups, and this one is definitely the most encouraging and just, I don't know, there's something about the paper slow stitch community. I don't know if it's because it's a combination of a few communities. I don't know, we just all sort of get each other. It's just lovely. So I've got this Florentine paper from a pack from Rachel. So I definitely want to use some of that. When they say vintage image, well, these books, they're very vintage, these book pages. So I'm sort of feeling like I'm not straying too far from the prompt with this because I've got these vintage elements. I don't think the Florentine papers are, but there's certainly a vintage concept. Let's do some rag paper. I wonder if I could get a plain one out so then I could do some embroidery on it. Yeah, I can. I can just squeeze him into this corner. That'd be a bit of fun. Oh, doesn't rag paper feel amazing? Gosh, I wish we still had rag paper as part of our book world. It just feels so textured, and I don't know, if you haven't ever felt rag paper, keep your eye open for it, or even if you get a small sample of it off of Etsy from a seller. I wonder if I don't stitch these together for a change. We just leave them separated so that they're, yeah, I'm liking that idea. Now, do I put in this blue? Yeah, I'm going to. It's not exactly matching, but I think the pop of colour is needed. Like, I could keep it all very mint, but look, we'll cut him out. We'll see. Because once you cover them with some fabric, they do tend to change a little bit. I guess the other thing is, do I need to cover them with fabric? Can I just stitch them on? Should I do a mix of fabric and paper patches and stitch them on? Now that'd be fun, instead of doing the English paper piecing like last time. Let's just play with that idea for a moment. Let's get one of these fabrics, like that one, and do our little hexie. I guess we don't have to edge them. So I'm cutting this fabric one out. I'm going to place it down in amongst the paper. Where's some more? Do I bring in a blue? It's just flipping through the fabrics. Yeah, now I feel like I'm going somewhere. Let's trace another one. It has stopped raining. What are we, in the eye of the storm? It's not that type of storm. Certainly looked it on the map. It had like a slow spinning vortexy look about it. Amazing. It's like a very slow moving, slowly spinning cyclone. That's what I think we're sort of getting at the moment, these last few years. And because they're so slow and they're so, I can't see my lines, they're so slow and they're so full of moisture that we're getting all this flooding. Okay, let's cut this little guy out. Yeah, I'm really liking how that's coming together. I might cut one out of this paper next. It's a darker. Oh, I can get a plain one too. I like that because that gives me the opportunity to potentially do something on it. Maybe. Even if I draw something, if I can't stitch onto it, which I don't think I can, this paper is really thin. I could draw something on there, like a little, I don't know. I suppose I could glue something on there because it's paper. I don't know. So many options. No, it's competing. Yeah, no, don't like that. Maybe it's got to come up into that zone. Yeah, that's better. And then maybe these little guys start drifting in around it to soften it even more. They could sit in amongst it. Yeah, I'm liking that so far. Okay, enough of the hexies. Let's pop that away. Let's just have a look at some of this fabric here in the... I'm a bit of a fan of this guy. Do I need it? I don't think so. Sorry, that one. We'll save that because I haven't yet embroidered this style of piecing on a elements or on a panel yet, so we'll save that. Let's revisit our doily. What else can we... I'm going to take this out. So if the next prompt is bauble, I'm going to be up the creek without a paddle. So I'm going to take a punt that it's not, but it probably will be. Well, that's okay. I can always do something else. Now the question is, do we nibble that little bit out in there? I think we will. It'll really highlight that little scroll. So let's just carefully fussy cut this out. Isn't it fun creating something from all of these different elements and piecing it together? So I'll have buttons in the corner, so I can't get too... I don't think I'm even going to have space for these three. I'll just cut this little guy out as well. see a few struggled with the prompt, finding a vintage image. But I'd have to say that that's part of the adventure. It's good when we get a prompt that's challenging, because even if it takes an extra week to think it through, you're thinking it through. And I just love that. I just think that's so much fun, extra fun. Like, it's like the bonus of the whole. I've got rid of that extra piece there. I don't know. I'm going to keep trimming. Yeah, I like it when it's a prompt that it's like, oh, what the hell am I going to do with that? And then I spend 3 or 4 days just rolling it around in my mind. It's like, I don't know, I really enjoy that process. I like that little bit of frustration it gives me. What will I do? Thinking ideas, you go researching, you start looking at what others have been doing and what sort of catches your eye that you could then turn into your own design. Like, all of that is just so much fun. It's like having a, you know, those hard-boiled lollies. It's like having one of those in your mouth and you're rolling it around for some time, and there's just constant sugar coming into you. That's what I reckon it's like. So I really want to use 3, but I can't really get it on there. I think I like the garland going across the top. It sort of gives us a ceiling. So I'm just looking up at the TV to get a bit of a long distance view. Yeah, I definitely want the garland there. That's decided. It'll be just a case of how I can get this little guy in to the image. Yeah, he's not bad over there, actually. Sort of ties it across the page with the triangle, dragging your eye from one side to another and then across, sort of taking the viewer on a journey as they look across your work. I'm thinking I like that. I'm not going to paper piece these hexagons. I'm actually going to just stitch them down as background soft elements. At the moment you wrap them in the fabric and join them, they get quite heavy and bold and big. And I'm thinking I want this to be a lot more of a softer into the background. So I think I'll do a running stitch around all of those to pin them down. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think, yeah, and I think the buttons this time are going to be, if I've got any here, creamy buttons. I don't think I'm going to use the blue because I think it'll be very jarring. So I'm just going to grab out some buttons. These are what I need to use to hold, I think it's a number 8 this time. Yeah, they'll be cream buttons. There we go. Yeah, pretty. Now, do we want any more lace or some little decorative elements? What have we got here? Got some saved up bits and pieces. When I separate, I don't mind. Yeah, I could do that. Could stitch a few over the top of everything just to give a little bit of texture. Just like little snowflakes falling everywhere. They look really good. So these are the connecting bits when you get the doilies, and you'll have a big motif. These are the little crocheted bits that join. I don't have any handy. Join them all together. They're great little elements just to have. Yeah, I like that. The other thing I have here that we could do something with is there was some little stars, I think. Yeah. Whether they can be snipped off. I could get some gold thread and do some stars. So if this doesn't work, but it would be good to use them, then they'd found a home. They don't go in the bin. So we could, yeah, look at that. Let's pinch all these little fellows out. They can just be scattered through the piece. I think we have a panel. When I went to bed last night, I did not know where this would go. I had the doily with the baubles on it. I'd found some background fabric, that swirly piece there, and I sort of felt like it was so bold, and I'm going to have to knock it back even more into the background. And then I left this guy out on the desk, thought, oh, he might be able to be utilized because it was pretty fabric. There we go. We're there. Let me just move a few things out of the way, and then I'll bring it up to the camera. Then I might have to take a photo of it, I think, this time, because I can't pin the paper. Otherwise there'll be holes in the paper that we don't need, other than a needle. Something I'll just show you, to stitched down paper, if you're good with a needle, you can just go for it. But I tend to find that if I misjudge where my needle is coming up, I'll make a hole where I don't want a hole. So what I do is I get one of my pokey tools that I use to stitch in signatures, and I'm just looking and looking, and I'll pre-make all my holes. I'll pre-poke them so that I don't have to worry about making a hole where I don't want a hole. So I'll get my book awl and go around and of my little hexagon and just create a hole ready. See that there? Can you see that? See the little holes? So now I can stitch with confidence, knowing that my stitches will be evenly placed and exactly in the right spot. So just a bit of a tip. I used to just go for it and bring the needle up wherever, but yeah, it's fraught with danger. So if you've got some holes already marked, you've got somewhere to aim for, and you can very carefully work your way towards it. Okay, I think that's it, guys. So I'll bring that up so you can have a closer look at some of the elements and where they're sitting. So everything's just sitting there at the moment. So I'll work through pinning what I can, take a photo of the overall composition, go. All right, we've got 15 minutes left on the video, so I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to go away and stitch this, so it'll be a few days later, and I'll come back and show you the finished piece. And I'll also do the piece that goes across the front to hide it all, to make it an advent calendar. And that will be an 8, I believe. I think 7 was last week. So that'll be an 8, and there'll be something created. I'm going to trim this off now and just put that down there to set the tone, being that it's very getting my better scissors, being that it's very neutral. That can be the little background. That will go there. And then I can make my number 8 and go from there. Okay, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in a few seconds with the finished product. See you soon. Bye. Hello, everyone. I'm back, and my piece is completed. Vintage image. So we've got vintage papers. We've got a vintage doily and some lacy bits. I'm so pleased I found a home for the doily. It's been rolling around on my desk for a little while, and it's such a cutie. So it's perfect sort of size for this piece. So I'm really pleased with the way it's come together. I end up popping in some little beads in a row here to denote that the bauble has something to hang from the little garland in the air. So yeah, really pleased with it. I'll bring it up to the camera a little bit closer. The hexagons, I used different stitches to hold them down, or just different versions of the stitches. That was really fun to sort of play with. And everything else is just overstitched down, or what's the word? Overcast, not overstitched, overcast. So it makes it nice and simple, nice, quick, easy project. There's not a lot of fancy stitches in it. It's just all about the composition, the layers, and finding a home for some of these little treasures. So that's the piece completed. Thank you very much. I will see you all in the next video. Actually, tomorrow you'll get a video. It's going to be Sunday, and I sort of start working ahead a little bit and get all the numbers done that go over the top of these pieces, so I sort of can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I film what do you call it? I film an episode just prepping all those numbers, and I've got a pretty good story to tell you about my week. So I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.